Hello, I'm David O'Neill, and I'm going to be presenting to you my creative reflection. And I'm going to be doing this through captured moments with photography and explaining how they connect to my experience in PRT so far this semester, and mainly addressing concepts that I've learned. And how they relate to my own life and my own experience in my personal life and in my outdoor adventures. And so there are countless concepts that we've learned so far. I'm highlighting the ones that resonated most with me, but I do know that there are more concepts in the class that I'm not covering, but I'm covering a good amount of them. Um, so. First off, I'm going to start with the phases of an experience. And so we learned about how anticipation, participation, and reflection are the three main phases of an experience in recreation. And this, of course, relates to PRT because a lot of us are going to be programming and putting on experiences for other people. And of course, included also in this is travel to the activity and travel from. But those, in my opinion, are less important than the three main activities. And so, an example I wanted to use was my job that I had this summer of backpack guiding in Southern Colorado. So, anticipation, clients would arrive the night before we would leave, and we would have a nice dinner together and get to know one another, talk about expectations and hopes for the week. And honestly, like their whole car ride to Del Norte was also a part of their anticipation. And part of my anticipation as a guide was packing my gear, making sure that I have every meal and all my little pieces of random gear like fuel and stove and extra lighters and just every little thing that I might need throughout the week. Whereas participation, we're out there, we're camping, we're hiking, we're doing day hikes, we're doing a peak, we're doing important conversations. We're looking at the different um, flowers and trees and other parts of ecosystems in Southern Colorado. And then reflection, that when we come home, we unpack all of our gear at base camp. We allow everybody to shower and get clean, of course. And then we have a great night of reflection, and we do a celebration dinner as well as do a slideshow of photos that we took throughout the week and talk about good things that happened on trail, things that we realized. And for a lot of these usually adult men that we take on trail, it's just a time to kind of unplug from their jobs, and then just grow in gratitude for their families and for their wife. And it's cool, wife or partner, and it's really cool to see like how much they miss them, but also how much relief they find from getting a break from their job for a little bit. And so that just kind of goes through the main phases of experience that I've observed in my own um, life. But at the same time, like I wasn't really aware of them until the PRT integrated core, and it kind of showed me these phases, and it was really cool in my opinion. So now I'm going to talk about pure leisure. We know that pure leisure is intrinsically motivated, freely chosen, unobligated, and there is a sense of perceived freedom, as well as there are rewards that come from the activity itself, not the results of the activity. And so my example of this was just literally sitting in the middle of nowhere in Gothic Pass, Colorado. It was definitely intrinsically motivated. I really didn't do anything, so there was no activity that would like benefit me. It was just what was benefiting me was just the activity itself, just sitting there and just thinking and observing. It was freely chosen. It was my day off from work. I was unobligated. I did not have to be there. I could have been anywhere else I wanted to be. I was free. I was alone. I could do whatever I want. I could get up and leave. I could sit there for 6 hours. It was totally up to me. And the reward came again from sitting there. It didn't come from the health benefits that I received from sitting there or the mental achievement of doing an activity. It came from the activity itself. All right, pure job. So this is basically the complete opposite. I was extrinsically motivated. I was motivated by what I would receive by being there, which was money. I was also obligated to be there through shifting shifts and being called in by my boss. Additionally, like my parents were like, "You need to get a job," so that wasn't really like I mean, like, of course, I wanted to do that as well, but I was told to be there, and not much freedom for like individual growth. Like, it was like, hey, you need to flip these burgers and do this, and make sure you do this when you're done. Like, it wasn't like I was getting to choose what I would do. I was very much being told what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And so there was really not any intrinsic motivation or freedom in the job. So this is a pure job. Spillover leisure. So this is an example. So backpacking was quote, my job over the summer. I was a backpack guide, but I also do this a ton of my personal time. And so I enjoy my job so much that this then spilled over into my personal time, and continues to do so. I love backpacking. It's one of my favorite activities, and I was really thankful to have it as a job. And so this definitely spills over into my free time. But again, I'll be working as a guide next summer. And so it'll again be a job and a responsibility and something that it's not just affecting me, it's affecting my clients. And so I need to keep that in mind. But yeah, this is definitely an example of spillover leisure in my life. And I had never heard of spillover leisure until the integrated core and Jeff talked about it. And so I found it super interesting. And this one was a pretty e easy one for me to pinpoint in my own life. Recreation. So an example of this is me cycling. This is in Immigration Canyon. I do enjoy the activity, don't get me wrong, but I definitely re enjoy the benefits and results of cycling more. I like the feeling of personal accomplishment of doing a hard thing. I also like the workout it gets me, both muscles in my legs and cardio, from breathing really heavy. And to be honest, there can be some really not so fun points, but I power through because I know the benefits and the results will be positive. And so I'm doing an activity. And there is some sort of leisure there. Like, of course, like I am enjoying the bike ride for the most part, but there is activity, there is work being put in. And I would say this one is both extrinsically and intrinsically motivated, but a little more extrinsically. And so this is why I put this as an example of recreation. I really do enjoy road cycling, but I definitely, if there wasn't really benefits, I probably wouldn't do it. And so, yeah. So now we're going to go over the three integral parts of parks, rec, and tourism and how I've seen them in my own life. And this is just one of countless examples. But health and wellness, I do really like to be mindful of what I eat and what I put into my body. And so, like, for example, some carbohydrates I've learned are very important, whether that be in the form of sugars through fruit or through grains and stuff like that, as well as protein bars. I also love drinks like coffee and love the benefits that they give me. Maybe not so health oriented, but they make me well, that's for sure. So, yeah, health and wellness, and like this is through countless things. I also could have put like me paddleboarding or like me cycling. Like those are also like contributing to my health and my wellness. But like I like to focus on nutrition and like drinks and food a lot. And so this is why I put this. And like one of my interests is the beverage industry and like juicing and smoothies and such. So this is why health and wellness, I related it to food. Social equity. So, um, last spring, I had the opportunity to lead a group called Alpha, from the U. They are the Association of Latino Professionals of America at the University of Utah. And so this was like an example of us providing an equitable opportunity for Latinos to go on a trip in Moab. And a lot of these people were from Salt Lake City and had never been out of Salt Lake City before. And so like this opportunity luckily was just like thrown into my lap and it was such a blessing to get to lead these people. They were so friendly, so excited to be in Moab. Just happy to be there and they like even faced difficult circumstances on the trip like high winds and storms and they were just so happy and like just so thankful to be there. And so this was a really great example of social equity to me, and how PRT, like Outdoor Adventures, took the initiative to reach out to this group and say, hey, we want to do something with y'all. And I just thought that was really awesome. And I just happened to be a leader on that trip. And it was just really eye-opening for me. And so it was cool to be able to have that practical experience regarding social equity. Next is environmental sustainability. So like this is just things like in my personal ventures and in like the industry that I work, like backpacking industry or being a trip leader outdoor ventures. Like we want to stay on trails. We want to avoid cryptobiotic soil. We want to pack out our waste. And we want to be mindful of like where we are in the desert. Do we need to pack out our waste or are we in the mountains where we can bury our waste? And like also packing out trash, leaving it better than we found it. Having proper trail etiquette, knowing what bear precautions we should take, including storing food. Are we treating the trail well by staying off the critical edge? Just like all these countless things that take a long time to learn, but once they're in your brain, you know them. And making sure that we are being sustainable and treating the areas that we love so much, and recreate responsibly on them. And so, yeah, these are how the three integral parts of PRT relate to my own life. And there are countless other ways, but these are just three I thought I would pinpoint. So, eight dimensions of well-being. This was maybe my favorite topic that we discussed all semester. Um, and so I'm just going to kind of highlight each one. The photos are not directly related. I just threw in photos, so that kind of relate. And so spiritual, I am a religious person, and so definitely spiritual well-being is very important with me and connecting with what I believe to be my creator, Jesus Christ, and like that's just a big part of my life, and so that's definitely a massive dimension of my well-being. Is spiritual. Social, just having friends, being able to recreate with other people, as well as like my family, and have a sense of belonging among those group of people is very important. Physical well-being through all the activities that I love to do, as well as just like making sure that I'm eating healthy, feeling good, and taking care of myself, because I still want to be able to do these activities for a long time. And so I want to make sure I'm taking care of myself physically. Intellectually, I think a major way I do this is through college, but as well as just like learning more things about other topics that I'm not being taught that I have self-interest in that I want to discover more on my own, like through reading or through watching YouTube or like even through just scrolling Wikipedia. I love scrolling Wikipedia and like some people might look down upon that, but I think Wikipedia is a great source. And so like just growing intellectually and learning about new topics. Occupationally, my job, thankfully I love my job. And so being making sure I'm taking care of myself in my job in the workplace. I'm advocating for myself, while as well as serving participants. My two jobs are being a backpack guide in the summer, and then at school I lead trips for outdoor adventures. Financial well-being is one that I probably struggle with, not as much as like, I mean, like, of course I am a student and barely have any money, but I think more the well-being that I struggle with is like obsessing over that. Like at the end of the day, like I'm gonna be okay. And like I have people that support me, and if I spend my money well, I'll be fine. So like the well-being of like actual having finances, like I'm okay. But I think the well-being that I could grow in the financial area is like not worrying about it all the time and not being obsessed with that, because the last thing I want is to be obsessed with money. And that's just like there's no fruit in that. And so that's something where I think I could really grow, and like the PRT integrated core helped me recognize that of like you're probably not doing great in that area and like you're obsessing over that too much, and like you have you should be aware, you should not be worried. Like it's just not worth it. Emotional well-being. I think this also ties back to like community, taking alone time for myself, just like doing things that I love, pushing myself to do hard things, stuff like that. And then environmental well-being, recreating outside is big for me, but at the same time, knowing that I'm doing so responsibly and taking care of the places that I love. All right. Next, flow. I want to give an example of a flow experience in my own life. This happened in Mill Creek Canyon. Once again, I love like road cycling. It's super fun for me. And so I had a ride the other day about 25 miles, and it was just like amazing. Like it was my first time being up in the canyon, seeing the fall colors. I definitely had a distorted sense of time. Like it felt like I got up the canyon in like 10 minutes, and like it was definitely more than 10 minutes. I was intensely focused on the nature around me, focused on my cycling, my technique, focused on my water intake. It was goal seeking, like I wanted to get up that canyon and conquer it and then have fun coming down. But it was so much more than that. And then I had optimal arousal for sure. It was chilly at the top of the canyon. I could feel it on my skin. I had goosebumps, as well as like the cool air meeting my sweat was just like really like, yeah, the smells of the leaves and like the decomposal of uh like the leaves and the mushrooms and stuff is like just an amazing smell, as well as like sight, just seeing the colors and the blue sky and the leaves on the ground. And then just yeah, everything. Like it was definitely a flow experience. I think like I want to emphasize like how distorted my sense of time was. Like it literally felt like 10 minutes, and it probably was like 2.5 hours. And so it was just like amazing. And I was focused and alive. And yeah, I think definitely an example of a flow experience that I've had recently. So now programming. We talked a lot about programming, what goes into planning a program, and of course now we are getting ready to do that as a group in our Friday groups. But I want to give an example of programming that I've had recently. So planning, travel to, participation, travel from, and reflection. So one of my OA trips recently was a Green River raft trip. And so I wanted to show an example of a logic model that I made for that, which I thought was like really cool to like do something that I'm actually doing. And the trip is done now, but like this was a super cool logic model that I got to make and like be like, this is actually like how this goes. And like it's awesome. and working from backwards to forwards like makes sense to me, and like it was just super cool to like put it together with something that I'm doing practically, and not just have it be a theory in my mind. And so, yeah, you can see my inputs, like rafts, guides, other gear, PFD, snacks, drinks, activities, being like, do the guides have training? Are permits acquired? We need to make sure that we have cars to go, and rent those. We need to have kids sign up. We need to have a pre-trip meeting. Outputs are like students have fun. Photos and videos were taken. Students realize that they are capable to do hard things, and like successful and empowering raft trip. Outcomes, students seek more opportunities in rafting. Students bring their friends. Students positively talk about outdoor adventures, and so signups increase. And then input, I mean, sorry, that's not impact, not input. Students gain self-confidence in themselves. Students continue to try different activities. Outdoor adventures numbers then increase over the years, and positive memories are made, that they can remember a long time from now. And so, yeah, it was really cool to like see this in a program that I actually did. So yeah. So yeah, planning. We did a logic model, or I did. We made a risk management plan. We packed gear. We pulled gear out. We grocery shopped. We did a pre-trip meeting with participants, and we came up with a logistics plan with our supervisor. So here's a picture of me and my fellow trip leaders packing the truck. Trust me, there was like way more gear than that. But yeah, of course, travel too, I left that out, but we drove 3 hours from Utah to Wyoming, to go on the Green River. And then participation. Here we are on the Green River having fun. We took one paddle boat, two oar boats, and then two duckies, which are inflatable kayaks. We cooked really good food. We had great day on the river, great weather. Water was nice and cold still. And it was absolutely beautiful. And then we traveled from Green River back to Utah. So that was another 3 hour drive. And then reflection. At the very end, we had a meeting with all the participants, thanking them for their time and for their help. We did a post-trip TL meeting. TL means trip leader. Talked about what went well, what we could have done better. We did an informational meeting with our supervisor, talking about tips and tricks for the trip, for future trip leaders to know about when they go. We put away the gear, and we sent out a photo album memorializing the trip with all the participants. We sent a post-trip survey for them to give us feedback and give us any critiques that they had. We gave them an email thanking them again for their time and hoping that they had fun. And then we connected through the with social media. A lot of the times the participants want to get our social medias just so that they can keep up with us. And so that was another way we could reflect and memorialize our trip. So now I'm going to talk about another stage. I think along with the eight dimensions of well-being, this section on human development that Mary gave before our exam was just like one of my favorite lectures that we had. So interesting, like the psychology of like, or like just like the information about like us and our growing psychologically or physically or cognitively, like that. And then like generational impacts, like being able to examine things in my own family of just different abuse that has happened, or like substance abuse, or like cancer, or just like the things that have affected my family, and like how do those affect me today, and how like some that doesn't affect some of my friends, and that's okay. And so like just thinking about stuff like that, or like my grandfather being an immigrant and like how that affected him, and then the way that he raised his kids, or like my grandfather's whole generation being a part of the Vietnam War and how that affected his generation, and then how they parented their kids and how that affected my mother. Just like these kind of things. And like obviously like physically you can see my development throughout the years. Yeah, like little baby kid to like teenager going through puberty, and then finally like mostly adult, I think. I'm 20 now, so I wish I was still a kid. I like to say I'm still a kid. But yeah, and then like cognitively, I'm growing. And like honestly, like my frontal lobe is still not fully developed, and like yay, I'm still growing. So yeah, it was just like really cool to like learn about that stuff, and like especially like related to my own family and my mother and my father and myself. And so yeah. So conclusion and reflection. So it was cool to um basically like apply my learnings to my own personal recreation. And that's like through my own personal backpacking trips or my own trips that I conduct in my companies or stuff like that. But it was also cool to like explore different programs around the city with my Tuesday group, who's pictured in the middle. They're awesome. Or explore um, just like parks and like different campus services that like apply to recreation and how they serve students in different ways. And so it was cool to like be able to apply them to both aspects of my life, learn new things or associate things that I've already done in my life. And so overall, like this semester has been amazing so far. I can't wait to see where it goes. I'm really excited to see where our program goes. That's going to be really fun and like I think really impactful for me. And so yeah, like the PRT integrated core has been um transformational for me so far. And like I'm just really thankful and blessed and excited to see where it goes, as well as like um I just yeah, I don't want to be like a suck up or like I don't know, a teacher's pet, but I appreciate Mary and Jeff. I appreciate Nick and SJ and like um yeah, I'm really excited to finish up this core and then move on into outdoor recreation studies core and like just getting excited for all that's to come because it's obviously a great program and I'm learning a lot, something that I'm very passionate about and something that is directly applicable to my life and my activities. And so yeah, this was my creative reflection number one, and I hope you enjoyed.